You can hear the crackle of the fire now. Aye. The wind's howling soft through the pines behind us. And the dark, it presses in close tonight. Halloween's the one night when the veil thins enough that the forgotten places remember us again. Now, there's a story I've heard told out beyond the forests that fringe Glasgow's west. A story about a lodge that was never meant to fade, and 4 lads who thought it'd be a laugh to wake it. They called it the Laird's Lodge. The folk near the old forest said it should have fallen a century ago, but somehow it never quite does. Moss crawls over it, the walls sink and crack, but the house endures, because it won't be forgotten. It can't be. And that's where the trouble begins. It started, like these stories often do, as a bit of bravado. Halloween night. Glasgow's streets buzzed with the usual noise. Fireworks, cracking, students spilling out of the pubs, kids shouting in plastic masks. But just beyond the ring road, the city gives way to something older. Woods stretch dark and deep toward the campsite, where the air carries that scent of peat and cold iron. Connor was the one with the idea. 18, a bit too confident, the sort who loved an audience. It'll be class, he said. We'll go see the lodge, get some footage. Nobody's been there in years. Liam wasn't so sure. He'd heard whispers, old threads on local forums, half-forgotten Reddit posts about the house that eats stories. But he went along anyway, because that's what you do when you're 17 and don't want to look scared in front of your mates. Kyle brought the camera, of course, always filming, the self-styled urban explorer. He had a night vision GoPro strapped to his chest and a portable light rig in his rucksack. We'll make it a Halloween special, he grinned. Haunted Scotland, Episode 1. And Ewan, the quiet one, 16, the youngest of the lot. He didn't say much, but he heard from his grandfather, back when he was wee, about the stretch of forest near Loch, where an old road vanishes into the moss. He remembered the old man's warning. There's a house out there that won't die. Best not to remind it you exist. They set off just after dusk, leaving the last lights of Bear's Den behind them. The road wound out, past fields and stone walls until even the hum of the motorway was gone. All that remained was the distant hoot of an owl and the crunch of gravel beneath their boots. By the time they reached the tree line, the moon had risen, pale and sharp, half hidden behind the mist. The path they followed was barely more than a shadow between trees. Every so often, they'd come across the remains of an old wall or a rusted fence post swallowed by ivy. The forest grew thicker the deeper they went. The air seemed to press closer, damp and cold, smelling of wet earth and decay. When they spoke, their voices felt muffled, swallowed by the dark. After nearly an hour, the path curved down toward the hollow. That's when they saw it. At first it was only a suggestion, a shape behind the trees. Then clouds shifted, and the moonlight picked out stone, flat and broken, rising like the bones of a long dead thing. The Laird's Lodge. No one spoke for a while. Even Connor, who had led the charge, stopped to take it in. The lodge loomed in silence. A two-storey relic, its roof half collapsed, its windows hollow. Ivy choked the walls. The main door hung at an angle, blackened by rot. "What do you think?" Kyle whispered, lifting his camera. "Looks ready to fall," Liam muttered. "Then let's not hang about," Connor said, half laughing, "before it does." They crossed the clearing. The air felt cold up there, heavy in a way that made their skin tickle. When Kyle switched on his light, it caught on warped glass, peeling paint and carvings above the lintel. A stag's head surrounded by runic patterns too eroded to read. Inside, the smell hit them first. Damp wood, mould, and something metallic beneath it. The entrance hall stretched out before them, a grand ruin with a staircase curling upward into shadow. Torn wallpaper hung like old skin. The remains of a chandelier dangled from the ceiling, its crystal glinting faintly in the beam. Connor stepped forward. The floorboards creaked but held. Kyle's camera blurred softly. Liam pulled out his phone to use as a light. Ewan lingered in the doorway, dancing back toward the woods. "You feel that?" he whispered. "Feel what?" "Like the air flicker." But the others didn't hear him. They were already exploring, laughing nervously, pushing open doors that sighed on their hinges. They found what might once have been a sitting room. It's half black with ash. A portrait above the mantel had half faded, but you could still make out the shape of a man in hunting attire. All proud, holding a rifle beside a stag. His eyes had been scratched out. Kyle leaned close to film it. "Check this out. Proper gothic vibes." Connor laughed. "Bet the old Laird's still here, waiting for visitors." The words echoed faintly, carried off by the draft that breathed through the corridor. And then, somewhere deep within the house, they heard a sound. A dull, slow knock. Once. Twice. 3 times. They froze. "Could be the wind," Liam muttered, though his voice didn't sound sure. "Wind doesn't knock," Ewan said quietly. They pressed deeper inside, the thrill of fear sharpening everything. Each room they entered felt colder, more warped by time. The wallpaper patterns changed subtly. Birds, branches, faces hidden in vines. It was as if the house's memory was shifting with them. In one chamber, Kyle found a desk. Its drawers were swollen with damp, but inside he discovered a leather-bound book, edges eaten by mould. The writing was faded, the ink brown with age. Connor read aloud under his breath. "This house is not built to be lived in, but remembered. Its walls hold the echo of every soul who steps within. For when memory fades, so too does life." He frowned. "What the hell does that mean?" "Probably some rich man's rambling," Liam said, though his voice shook. Ewan stared at the page. Or maybe he meant it. Outside, the wind had risen. The trees moaned like distant voices, their branches scraping the roof. Somewhere above, a door slammed shut, though none of them had gone upstairs. Could be the draft, Kyle said, trying to sound steady. But his light flickered, and the camera lens glitched. A smear of static crawling across the image. Battery's fine, he muttered. Weird. They decided to check upstairs anyway. The staircase groaned under their weight. Dust rising in soft clouds. Halfway up, Ewan thought he saw movement. A shadow slipping across the landing. But when he blinked, it was gone. At the top, a corridor stretched left and right. The wallpaper here was different. Fresh looking somehow. As if this part of the house hadn't aged at all. A faint scent of candle wax hung in the air. They tried one door, locked. Another, also locked. Then Connor pushed open the last one on the right. Inside was a study, still furnished. Books lined the walls, a desk sat beneath the window, and beside it stood another portrait of the Laird, untouched by decay. The man's painted gaze seemed alive in the dim light. And behind him, in the painting's background, the room itself, down to the same cracked glass in the window pane. Kyle's camera caught it. In the playback, for a split second, the painted figure's head tilted. No one noticed. Not yet. It began with a hum. Low at first, barely audible, like the vibration of a deep bell somewhere far below the floor. The air grew dense, the temperature dropping until their breath misted. Then came the movement. The shadows stretched wrong. The hall behind them seemed longer than before. When Liam turned, the stairs were gone. Or at least, not where they'd been. The floor slanted subtly, like the house itself was shifting around them. "Connor," he said, voice tight. "I think the..." But Connor wasn't listening. He was staring at the portrait, eyes wide. "The eyes," he whispered. There, the painting's gaze had changed. The Laird now looked past them, toward the doorway. Something moved there. A tall, dim shape, almost human, but not quite. Its edges shimmered like heat rising from tarmac. "Who's there?" Connor demanded, stepping forward. No answer. Kyle's camera flickered violently, static tearing across the feed, and then Connor was gone. No scream, just gone. Liam and Ewan bolted, crashing into the corridor. Doors they'd opened before were now sealed tight. The air pulsed, heavy with the scent of iron and smoke. From somewhere in the walls came whispers, Laird voices murmuring names they didn't know. "Kyle! Connor!" Ewan shouted. But only the echoes replied. Kyle's light blinked ahead, down the hall. For a heartbeat, they saw him, crouched, shaking, staring into the viewfinder. "There's something in the footage," he whispered. "It's us." I told her. Then the light went out. When Liam reached them, the camera was still running. The lens showed only an empty corridor. But in the reflection of a broken mirror beside it, 3 figures could be seen standing where the boys had been. Liam grabbed Ewan's arm. "We need to get out now." They stumbled through the dark, and guided by the faint glow of Ewan's phone, the last working light, the house droned around them. beams shuddering like it was alive. Every turn brought them somewhere unfamiliar. Staircases looping back, rooms that shouldn't exist. At last, they burst into the great hall. Moonlight spilled through the broken ceiling, silvering the dust. On the far wall hung portraits, but not the old ones. These were new, 4 of them. Connor, Kyle, Liam, Ewan. Painted in that same rich oil style, each one captured mid-expression, their eyes wide with terror. Ewan's light flickered. Liam stepped closer, reaching toward the canvas that bore his likeness. And as his fingers brushed the paint, it moved. The painted eyes blinked, the mouth opened in a silent scream. Liam was gone. Only the echo of his breath remained. Ewan stumbled back, gasping, the world tilting. He ran, though the doorways blurred and the air thickened around him. The house seemed to breathe. A pulse in its timbers, a whisper at its core. He felt something follow him through the hall, not footsteps, but memory itself dragging at his heels. When he burst through the doorway and out into the cold night, he fell hard into the grass. The forest was silent. The house loomed behind him, still patient, its windows glowing faintly with a light that wasn't moonlight. He crawled away until the tree swallowed it. By dawn, he reached the road, barefoot, bloodied, eyes wide with something that would never leave him. When the police found him days later, he couldn't explain what had happened. He said the house remembered him, that it whispered names in his sleep, that when he closed his eyes, he still saw the others staring from their frames. And when they went looking for the lodge, they found nothing. Just forest. No ruins, no foundation. Only a clearing where the grass grew strange and pale, like something had stood there once and decided to move on. Now, some say Ewan still lives near Glasgow. Keeps to himself, never speaks of that night. But if you wander far enough into those woods, they say you'll find traces. Old stone, half buried, with carvings of stags and eyes that never fade. And sometimes, on still autumn nights, you might see a light between the trees. Not fire, not torchlight, something older. A reminder that even forgotten things remember us. So if you're ever out beyond the city and hear a house creaking where no house should be, keep walking. Don't film it. Don't look back. Because some places feed on memory, and you don't want yours to be the next one it keeps.